Hi again, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Epstein Hitting Podcast, episode 148 today. Thank you for joining us on the audio side, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, listening and watching on YouTube, the Epstein Hitting Podcast YouTube page. So today, episode 148, talking about counteracting pitchers' strategies. So let me bring in professional evaluator, successful business owner, my former coach, current day renowned coach, friend and co-host, Jake Epstein. I want to go an episode today without the camera being messed up, without the microphone being messed up. The lighting on my end is a little bit kind of iffy because there's some sunlight coming in on this very hot Tampa, Florida day. But nonetheless, let's have a perfect show today.
Well, I already hit the camera. I hit the camera off air, so I think I got it hopefully out of the way before we started recording.
And your microphone, that was messed up too, but we got that figured out too.
Week off.
That's right. So follow us on social media as well at Jim Tara at Epstein Hitting. And if you do follow Jake on Twitter and Instagram, then you saw his announcement this morning. You want to give everybody a brief overview of the big announcement, big announcement, and it is a great thing for you. So I'll let you quickly take it away.
Yeah, no, I in a whirlwind of events over the past week or so, I accepted the softball assistant coach job, hitting coach job at University of South Carolina. So I start that in about a day. So really, really excited to kind of take this new challenge and life endeavor and family endeavor, something, obviously I love to coach. So getting this opportunity was unbelievable. A random phone call that came in the afternoon 10 days ago turned into something really unique. So anyway, looking forward to being part of the Columbia, South Carolina community and the athletic department and helping this great staff and great group of players, reach whatever potential we can bring next year in the postseason.
It'll be a lot of fun. And again, you start on Tuesday, August 1st.
August 1st. That's it. 2 days. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right.
After 147 episodes, you think we would know
when we record and what day.
What day
Yep.
comes out. But anyway, nonetheless, congratulations. And I can tell you as a former student of yours that you have a great gig there, well-deserved, and that the University of South Carolina in the SEC, by the way, one of the best conference, let's just be honest about this, the best conference in all of college sports, getting a chance to coach in the SEC, that's pretty impressive. So congratulations. Well-deserved, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Today, talking about counteracting pitchers' strategies, episode 148. I do want to mention something, though. I saw on The Athletic this week, I was reading a story about pitchers and what they like about certain mounds. And this could pertain to softball as well.
Yeah.
But what they like about the certain mounds in baseball, what they like about certain mounds in softball, different ballparks. I've talked with Cassie about this on Cross Functionality, about how she used to hate playing at the University of Florida. She used to hate playing the Gators because the ballpark and all of the external factors that were involved with that. So I'm going to flip it around now. And The Athletic had a great article about this, about pitchers and what they like, the kind of dirt and the hardening of the dirt. But I'm going to flip it around now to hitters, both baseball and softball. For you, I just want to know, hitters, why? Just give hitters a brief overview of what you think the best kind of dirt is. What do you think the best kind of clay, and how you can get your best footing, the best kind of surface, kind of what The Athletic was talking about, what hitters may prefer and what they may like on that side of things.
On a surface side, sticky's great. Sticky clay is great. Sticky flat clay is great, without too much, at the amateur levels, the batter's boxes are such a mess, right? It's all top dressing, dirt, and then the underneath stuff is all dug out. But, having that perfect, flat batter's box, one of my favorite pictures and memes of all time is the left-handed batter's box versus the right-handed batter's box. You see on social media where the right-hand batter's box looks like the Grand Canyon, right? And then the left-hand batter's box looks like a dirt version of Augusta, right? Everything is totally smooth. So, getting your footing is really important. I think for me, less than or more than the batter's box is, gosh, there were just some parts you see better in. I could tell you I haven't stood in a batter's box and faced competitive pitching in 22 years. But I could still tell you my favorite place to play at night was Jackie Robinson Stadium at UCLA. I don't know why. I saw the ball so well there. It was so dark with the trees, and there was just nothing beyond the pitcher, nothing beyond the center field fence. And I think that's probably what Cassie was talking about, from a defensive standpoint too. Sometimes you don't pick up the ball at home plate when the ball's hit in the air or hit on the ground. You don't get a good jump because of whatever it is, maybe what the people are wearing, maybe the lighting, maybe the reflection coming off the seats and where the sun is during the day. But I think as hitters, there's certain parks that we just feel more comfortable in. And it's usually has to do with lighting. It usually has to do with background. And then, obviously it definitely has to do with, when I walk up to the plate and I get in the box, it's a comfortable box. I don't have to sit there and search for a flat spot right now. Obviously at the professional level, you don't have to search for a flat spot. Right? They're all pretty pristine. But at the amateur level, there's some pretty rough spots out there.
Can I tell you though, when I was in high school, I hit the best when I was playing at home because we had dirt where you basically, both batters boxes, you basically just sunk. And for whatever reason, I felt really comfortable that way. I felt like I really had my footing. So when I went on a really good surface that was very, very hard, very hardened clay, and I tried to get my footing, for whatever reason, I felt like I was on ice skates because the surface, I couldn't get my footing. And I felt like I was on ice skates. And I just couldn't really get into my stance, couldn't get into my legs. Now, look, I want to be honest here. I still probably went 2 for 3, but the comfort level just wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. It just, I liked, maybe it's that blue collar part of me. I don't know, but I'm not a big blue collar guy as in general, but I was a blue collar type player, as you know.
Yeah.
And I just liked how it felt. I'm
digging in.
I'm digging in right now. I'm
digging in
for those watching on the YouTube side. I liked how my footing dug in to that dirt, which it was infield mix. It wasn't clay. Right. It was. I liked how I got my footing, and I just felt really comfortable. When I was on top of that clay, man, I was like, oh my God, I'm Steven Stamkos here. I'm skating. I'm Braden Point. I'm skating down the slot ready to score. You know what I'm saying? So they played a little mental, it was a little mental mind game. It played a little mental mind game.
And there's a lot of turf boxes now too, and that's a weird feel when you're not used to it.
Yeah. I'm so glad, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and if I am, you can write in jimbopodcast21@gmail.com. I'm so glad that softball doesn't have the turf like baseball.
Yeah.
It really, I think it bugs me that so many college baseball fields have that turf. I hate it. I just hate it, because they're, and even on the mound too, there's a big chunk of the mound is turf. And I don't like it at all. I really don't. Maybe it's a cost saver. I get it, but
it's just so much easier than tarping and untarping.
I understand that, but here's my one counterpoint to that. If a college can't afford or wants to go the shortcut route, which I think going turf field is a shortcut route as it pertains to baseball, if they want to cut corners like that, then why have a baseball program, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you're not putting your best foot forward. Anyway, nonetheless, that's just wanted to get your thoughts on that because, of course, I read that with the mound and. You understand when I read that article and you think about it a little bit, you understand why certain players, I don't care if it's baseball or softball, you understand why certain players struggle against certain teams. And you wonder, well, why is this person struggling against this team? Why is this person struggle? I heard the other night, I think it was Max Scherzer, right, for the Mets, right? He's pitching against his former team, the Nationals, undefeated against the Nationals, undefeated at Nationals Park against the Nationals. When he was pitching for the Diamondbacks and now the Mets. When it was Nats Park, he had so much success. It's because it's a little thing because it's the dirt, right? It could be a little thing just like that, the field surface. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Counteracting pitcher strategies. That's our topic at hand today. Episode 148. Thank you for joining us again. Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Talking about counteracting pitcher strategies, I think the biggest point, and we reiterate this all the time, it seems like now almost every week, the best way to counteract a pitcher strategy is having a plan and having a real tailored approach to then become a lot more flexible with your plan so then you can counteract those pitcher strategies.
Yeah, and pitchers have comfort zones, right? They have pitches that they throw for strikes. They have pitches that they don't throw for strikes that they're trying to get you to chase out of the zone, maybe up, with fastballs, or maybe down in the dirt with breaking balls. So they're always, and regardless of what their plan is, they're a certain type of pitcher, right? They're a pitch to contact pitcher, right? They're just trying to miss barrels, or they're power pitchers that are trying to get swing and miss. They have swing and miss type stuff. So when you have that, you have to figure out, the pitcher's strength. What does that pitcher want to do? If we pertain it to softball or baseball, if we're throwing a higher spin rate pitch, the belly button, right? That's going to be really tough to get on top of. It's going to be really tough if they're throwing 102 miles an hour or 72 miles an hour in softball, and they're throwing in that location. Geez, even if you guess right, even if you have a really good swing to stay on top of it, you still might only hit that 1 out of 5 times. Okay, so and that stakes. Like when you're in a position where I know how to get on top of that pitch. I have a swing plane to do that. I can be quick enough to do it, and you still don't hit it well because it's that much of an outlier. Then we have to make other adjustments. So sometimes the better adjustments are, okay, that person with 2 strikes always climbs the ladder, and it's so hard to lay off. But how many times did they throw that pitch for a strike? How many times does it really hit the belt, or does it miss above the belt and it's actually a ball? So sometimes you can just change your sights to something 180 degrees to that pitch. And then what'll happen is you won't have a tendency of chasing it. So if somebody's throwing, a really high fastball or kind of a rise ball and striking everyone out, what you need to do is change your tunnel to look at something at like the bottom of the knees. I'm going to look at the bottom of the knees, bottom of the knees, bottom of the knees. And then if that fastball comes out in a lower slot, I got a chance to hit it, right? It might not be at the bottom of the knees, but because I'm looking there, I'm not going to chase at the letters. So all of a sudden now I get one at the thighs, I can do something with it. Now, how would that burn us? Well, that would burn us if they have a changeup they throw on the dirt, or a drop ball they could throw in the dirt, or a split-fingered fastball for baseball they can throw in the dirt. So if they're working balls in the dirt with splits and then fastballs at the belly button, man, that's going to be really tough to figure out. Like you're going to miss, and hopefully they make a mistake at some point and you get it. But, like in softball, there's not a lot of girls that throw up spin and then they also throw a drop. So you can remove one of those and tunnel in another position or another location, and that's going to help your approach. So we have to know the pitcher, like what kind of pitcher is this? And then from there, we can start to make our plans. And then as the game goes on, maybe that plan needs to be adjusted a little bit to different pitches or different parts of the strike zone, because maybe that pitcher's not getting that pitch over today. And maybe he or she is going to pitch number 2 or pitch number 3 now to get it over the plate. And then all of a sudden we can start, looking for those pitches.
Yeah, you mentioned in their tunneling too, and what the pitchers try to do with their strategies. And, sometimes it's so simple as going up, going down, going north, going south, going east, going west. And, continuing to do that. I saw that in a major league game the other night. And I'm sure, you were going to preach this to your hitters at the University of South Carolina, how sometimes it's just so easy as going north to south, east to west. How do we counteract that now as hitters with what the pitcher is doing when it pertains to that?
Yeah, and you have to know, like, if this person throws a something in, if they're busting me in, and I look for it and I try to hit it out in front, am I still going to even keep it fair? An inside fastball, like that's a really hard pitch to hit. And if you start looking for pitches in there and cheating to get to that pitch, now you're totally toast on, the other 75% of the pitches that are going middle away. So you have to be really careful with what pitchers are trying to do to you. Are they trying to get you out, or are they trying to throw a strike, right? Those are two different things. And what we have to do as hitters is we have to be ready to hit the strikes that we can hit, right? And we have to know that, okay, every time this pitcher throws the ball in, they don't miss down the middle. Like, it's in. They get it in and they throw it there late in the count. They early in the count, they're throwing soft. Maybe they're throwing away. Late in the count, they bust in. okay, well, you know what? We can't get deep in the count with this. We got to look away or look soft or look something earlier in the count and be able to jump on that pitch, be able to make that adjustment to jump on that pitch so that we don't have to hit that out pitch that they're trying to get us with.
So what do you think? How do you stop and counteract a pitcher's strategy? Counteracting a pitcher's strategy when they are throwing baseball and softball, when they're throwing you off-speed stuff, when they're throwing you the junk. Mm-hmm. When, for example, their off-speed stuff, a slider that day, a changeup, that might be their best pitch, and that might be the pitch that is getting hitters out, strikeout, fly out, ground out. How do you counteract that now as a hitter? They've got the breaking stuff working to perfection that day.
Yeah, so just sitting on breaking stuff, especially if they're throwing it early in the count, because that's the key, is that we can't cover both sides of the plate effectively on the same pitch. Like, I can't look on the outside corner and cover a slider on the outside corner or a curve on the outside corner and then cover a fastball in. Like, I'm not going to be able to react to that. Sorry. And if I do react to that fastball in, I would have missed the off-speed pitch away by 4 feet, so you can try to fool yourself. So the key is we need to make adjustments early in the count to counteract that. We get to 2 strikes, hitting gets really hard with 2 strikes. Hitting, we're dependent on a pitcher making a mistake with 2 strikes. And they do, don't get me wrong. Pitchers make mistakes all the time with 2 strikes. And we get hits, right? And we'll hit home runs with 2 strikes as well. But, making those adjustments, if it's off speed, if they're getting ahead with, in softball, if they're getting ahead with changeups, you got to just sit on it and trust it. I'm going to get a changeup in the first 3 pitches. I'm going to hit it. I'm going to sit on it. If they throw me anything other than that, I'm going to take it. I got to stick to my plan, because if it's something hard, if it's a fastball or something that's not at the changeup speed, I'm going to be late. I'm probably going to get jammed, or I'm going to pop it up. So again, it's sticking to that plan, looking for so many off-speed pitches in Major League. There's so many more off-speed pitches this year. I think it's like 8% more or something. I just saw something on MLB.com about it, actually. But pitchers are throwing more breaking pitches this year, and there's a lot of home runs that are hit on breaking pitches. Mm-hmm. There really are, and you just, you gotta sit on them, right? If you sit on them, they're really easy to hit because they're a little bit slower. Okay, I mean, maybe Ohtani's like 4-foot breaking pitch. That one might be a little bit tougher to hit. When you're sitting on it, because you don't see it all the time. But breaking balls get hit for home runs just as much as fastballs do now, and the reason is because people are starting to look for them.
Yeah. It's great stat you brought up there with the breaking balls. I think I read the same article that you did, and there's increasingly more hitters, and this goes to show you that it doesn't matter how hard you throw as a pitcher. It does, but in a lot of instances with major league hitters, it doesn't matter how hard you throw, and I think that's definitely the case when it comes to Division I softball at the highest level in some of the best conferences. But it does go to your point that if you throw, I'm looking at an increasingly amount of hitters, right? And the amount of hitters that I see that have hit over 300 in the last couple of years at the major league level. I saw this on baseballsavant.com, hitting over 300 against the fastball. I mean, that says it all right there. So one of the best ways to counteract a pitcher's strategies, I would think, is to now understand when they're going to throw that breaking ball, when in the count, where they're going to throw that breaking ball, and how to have success against that breaking ball, and understand and decipher which pitch is the best that night.
Yeah, I mean, I say this all the time. When my dad played for Williams in 1969, their team batting average went up like 20 or 30 points. Yeah, it's the team batting average, not just one person, right? And my dad said he didn't really talk mechanics with anyone. It was all mental preparation. It was all, what is that pitch trying to throw? What is that pitcher trying to throw? How is he trying to get you out as a hitter? And maybe make guys think a little bit more when they walk up to the plate. That was it. And then all of a sudden, obviously the mound height changed, and that, league-wise hitting was better, but it wasn't better at that clip. And he said it was just talking mentally, getting guys prepared for that. So, I do. That article was interesting because they talked about how velocity is up. And I don't know with the velocity, everybody's like, it's a different gun and it measures it a different out of the hand versus at the plate, whatever. Like, I don't know what it is, but guys throw hard. Guys are throwing really hard, but they're also throwing more breaking balls. And that's an interesting scenario that they have. And is that why, there's so many elbows that are blowing up? You creating a lot of arm speed, and then you're throwing a lot of breaking balls. Maybe the elbow is kind of the weak link with that. But yeah, I mean, and again, the hardest pitches to hit are the hardest pitches to throw. It's always been like that, right? So if a breaking ball, if the count's 3-2, I mean, what pitch are you comfortable throwing? 3 balls, 2 strikes with the go ahead run at third base. Like, what pitch, when you really have to throw a strike, which one of a strike, right? Like, the hitter's not going to swing. Okay. What pitch are you going to throw? It's always going to be a fastball, right? Now, if you're trying to get a swing and miss in that situation and go for broke, you throw a slider. But what is that? So the hardest pitches to hit are the hardest pitches to throw. So fastballs, even if they're hard, they're straight. Although I've watched Chapman throw a ball 102 or 100.
I saw it on social media. Yeah,
that fastball moved like 7 inches.
Yeah, tailed away from the right-handed batter.
Away from the right-handed batter. That was, I don't even know how you would find a way to hit that. That was like a Mariano Rivera cutter.
Who?
Mariano Rivera.
Oh, they said Mariano. I was like, who's Mari? I know Mariano. I don't know Mariano.
It was Sandman's. That's what it looked like. Only it was 103 miles an hour instead of 92 or 93. So yeah.
All right.
Hitting is hard, and again, it all comes down to which pitch is most hittable for us. When they make mistakes, that's for me. If I'm going to go look at video, which pitches are the most hittable pitches that this pitcher throws? Baseball, softball, young, old. Which are the most hittable pitches? Well, it's this pitch. Okay, when did they throw that pitch? Is it late in the count? Is it early in the count? Okay, and then you start making your plans from there. But we're never going to hit a pitcher's best pitch in a perfect location. We're not going to do that. We're only going to hit mistakes hard. We might be able to foul off the tough ones, but we can't afford to foul off the mistakes. That's when you have a team that doesn't hit well.
Yeah. We could have ended the episode by just saying hitting is hard, but I have one more thing we got to discuss. Counteracting pitcher strategies. Okay. When you're counteracting a pitcher's strategies, how do you do that when the count is 0-0? How do you do it when the count is not in your favor as a hitter, when you're down the count 0-2, 1-2, even 2-2?
Well,
biggest differences.
Yeah, I mean, they have their strategy. I don't know what their strategy is, right? So they have their strategy, and you could sit and try to decipher strategies of what that other person's doing, but that might take you until the last inning of the game. So, you have to have a little bit of research on what kind of pitchers they are. I don't know exactly what strategy is. And then you also have to understand that it is so hard to complicate things for players, right? These aren't professional players. Most of the people that are listening to this podcast aren't making money doing it, right? They're in college, they're in high school, they're younger than that. So if you give them all this information, the pitcher's trying to do this, and you got to do this, and in this count, you're going to have to look at this, toast. Like, there's no chance they're going to be able to process that amount of information in a short window of, hey, I'm in the on deck circle. I'm not going to be able to go up to somebody and say, hey, I need you to look for this, this, and this in this count. So what you have to do is create your own plan, right? Yeah. Now, halfway through the game, or maybe 2 innings through the game, you're like, holy smokes, he or she is really getting ahead with the screwball, the rise ball, or the fastball away. Okay, that's their strategy. They're trying to get ahead early in the count, middle away. Boom. Now we counteract that. We become more aggressive early in the count. Okay. Or vice versa. We're chasing a lot of pitches early in the count the first couple innings. Okay. So they're not giving us anything to hit. They're throwing, something up maybe to get us, it looks straight, right? But it's at the letters. So we can't get on top of it. Let's go ahead and tunnel down and not swing anything up. So I would say it's more of a mid-game adjustment, knowing the strategy of the pitcher. I really don't know. I mean, I know what kind of pitcher they are going into the game, but they may have a different strategy based on what happened in the bullpen or what pitches they felt comfortable with. So for me, it's more of, hey, we have our plan. This is what we want to do first pitch of the first inning that we see. Like, this is our plan. And then from there, that plan either works or the hitters aren't sticking to that plan, and we have to, make sure that they get back kind of locked into that plan, or we have to switch up the plan. And all of that is fine if you practice all of those things before the season starts. You practice all those things. How do we hit breaking balls? How do we anticipate changeups? How do we stay on top of high spin fastballs? How do we get down to low pitches? And so if we face a pitcher that all of a sudden is throwing in a certain area, we're like, hey, remember Tuesday when we were working this? That's why we were working this. Get that same feel back, right? What was your feel that day? How do we get on top of that pitch? How do we speed up our timing? How do we slow down? Whatever it is, and then they do it. But you can't just go in and be like, hey, we want to hit the changeup here, but you've never practiced how to hit that changeup. Like that's not going to work. So it's constantly adapting, right? And that's what Major League Baseball players do. They constantly adapt. We've said it before in this podcast, or I have, because it's one of my favorite Albert Pujols quotes. When I first got to the big leagues, I used to make adjustments from game to game. And then after a year, it was at bat to at bat, and now it's from pitch to pitch, right? And that's what this game is all about. But as a coach, some players can do that and some can't. I can't do that for them. I can't do that from 30 feet away. They have to have, we have to practice that, and then they have the ability to make those adjustments.
All right, very good. As we wrap up today's episode, Counteracting Pitchers Strategies, episode 148. Again, subscribe, watch the show on YouTube, the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast YouTube page. Do you have anything before we go?
No, one more thing on how to break their strategy. Hit 2 home runs in the first inning. That usually will break their strategy as well.
And their spirit.
And their spirit. Just break them down early. Come out swinging. Come out lighting them up. Nope. I would say I have nothing but praise for you, Jim. That's all I got left. Jimbo Podcast21@gmail.com. Send in your questions.
Very good. Send us in your questions.
148.
Send us in your questions, and I will pepper them to my partner, the man himself, Jake Epstein. All right, good stuff. We will talk to you next week. We're talking about opening up too early as a hitter, as you told me off air prior to our recording today. It's a big topic, right? It's
huge. I can't tell you. I did voiceover. I was on vacation, as my online members, they all know, and then we took last week off the podcast. But I've just been getting after those voiceovers that came in, those videos that came in from my players, and I would say 2/3 of them are moving out a little bit too early. So right-handers are moving left a little early, left-handers are moving right a little bit early. So it'll be a really good topic next week.
Yeah. All right, that'll be episode 149. Be sure again to subscribe. Thank you for watching and listening.